We've had many questions. What's the deal with the Martinsburg Library downtown? What is going on there? Rob, get us some answers. So, being as that I'm on my game, I waited for Bill to say, Rob, time to get some answers.
And as I mentioned to Gretchen, who you'll introduce in just a second, I was having dinner the other night with Sarah Douglas, who's on the board, and I knew vaguely some of the activities going on with the library, but only vaguely. And Maria Lawrence was at the dinner table, and so it was just, I was impressed and surprised with the number of activities. So I think thanks to Sarah Douglas for setting this up with Gretchen. So
well, the library is your buddy. The library is your best friend. Nobody thinks poorly. You think of a library, you always think of it in a positive manner. At least I do. Anyway, Gretchen Fry is the director of the Martinsburg Berkeley County Public Library System, and Chanda Williams-Doles is the youth services manager. And good morning to both of you, and thank you so much for coming in.
Morning. Good morning. Thank you for having us.
The pleasure is ours. Believe me. Did you guys know Kelly Tanksley?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. I did not know.
No, Kelly she was a ball of energy, man.
Oh, she really was. Yeah, always with a smile on her face.
Yes.
Every time you saw her, she just grinned and bubbly.
Jubbly is I like you got a new word. You haven't had a new word in a while. That's a good one. I like that.
No,
jubbly. That's what it is.
Jubbly. Yeah.
I think it says it all. Anyway, yeah, Kelly was our line to the library system for so many years here until she moved away. So it's great to have you in the studio here and give us this the summary. What is the current state of at least the downtown Martinsburg library right now?
Okay, sure. So basically, the library is currently undergoing a $3.5 million project to completely replace the library's HVAC system, upgrade some specific electrical systems, and also an asbestos abatement. The original project was supposed to be $2.5 million, but the abatement process and related costs has basically added an additional $1 million to the project.
Could I interrupt very quickly?
Yes.
For the asbestos, what asbestos we're talking about? We're talking about the ceiling, the insulation of the ceiling,
Yes.
or are we talking about the wiring?
Specifically, it is a spray in thermal fireproofing. It is on the beams in the ceilings. There's a lot of overspray. It's also located in the mechanical room and a couple other areas as well in the library.
Okay. So right now, you do not have to worry about all the internal wiring in the building.
That's correct. Yes. So of course, the original plan was actually to keep the library open during this during the HVAC
Yes.
replacement. But once the asbestos was discovered, we had to shut down for safety reasons.
Sure.
And so at this point, there's currently a licensed abatement company doing demo of the HVAC system and properly removing and disposing of all the asbestos.
When did all that start, Gretchen, and when do you expect it to conclude?
So this actually started in August. We expect it to conclude, actually, the asbestos abatement part will be done by the end of this month.
Which means you can reopen?
Unfortunately, we don't actually have any HVAC then at that point, so no heat or air in the building. So after, in March, after this is done, the HVAC company will come back in. They'll actually put everything back in. So we are actually thinking it may not be, unfortunately, until October that they actually get everything in. But in the meantime, we are going to open up for curbside pickup at the library. So even though the public won't be able to go into the entire building, we will have set up in the vestibule like a curbside pickup, so that basically how it's currently set up, you can go online, you can order what books you want, and then you can pick them up in the library. That will start in April.
Can you DoorDash your library books?
Well, the cool thing is we do actually have a courier system that the library has run for many years, and it actually goes through Jefferson, Morgan, and Berkeley County.
Okay.
So basically, so if you go online to our online catalog, you can actually see all the libraries in Jefferson, Morgan, and Berkeley County. You can actually see their collections. You can place orders on any materials you want. And then basically we shoot you an email when it arrives. So even right now, if you want something, and you can pick it up at any library at this point.
So I want to go back to the HVAC situation.
Yes.
The asbestos will be done by the end of this month.
Yes.
Why does it take until October to put the HVAC system back into place?
That is what we are told. Again, this is very preliminary. We have to be working with the original HVAC contractors. It is possible that it may speed up. That's just where we are right now, unfortunately.
Okay, that just seems like an
It's a long
extraordinarily
time.
long
It's a
time.
long time, and that is like, and again, an estimate, and it's very possible it may. It is a very involved project. They're actually reinforcing the roof with steel because to support the new units, they're putting gas in. It's a completely redo of the system.
I see.
So it's not just a.
You got to replace infrastructure here.
Yes, and it's basically the system was 1970s original.
It lasted that long?
Yes.
That's amazing.
I mean, it's had parts replaced here and there, but a lot of the infrastructure is original, including the electrical panel, which was from the 60s.
Well, you got your money's worth out of that investment.
Yeah, tell them about money. 3.5 is a lot of money.
is.
Where are you finding the money, Gretchen, to do this work?
That's an excellent question, and that is something that we have really struggled with for this project. But what we've found is we've tried to spend basically for the last 3 years to get funding for this project, and what I've found is in general there just really isn't any dedicated federal, state, or local dollars for library buildings, and I know libraries struggle with this across the state. We were able to get small amounts of money in grants. We got some LEDA funding and things like that. Unfortunately, we are borrowing $1.6 million to help pay for this project. And we also, the library has fund balance. We've gotten some donations and various things over the years, and we have been saving some money. So we are going to use that money as well. But the financial reality is this is going to hurt library services going forward, because we're basically going to have to be paying off this $1.6 million loan for the next 10 years, basically.
10 years, so that's a pretty big monthly payment.
Yes.
Where do you generate monthly revenues to be able to afford that kind of a payment on top of your regular budget?
No, unfortunately, it's going to come out of our regular budget. Unfortunately, it's going to come out of our operating. It's not an ideal situation.
Now, where do you get monies from?
Where do we get monies from? So we get money from the city, the county, the state of West Virginia as well.
How about the school board? Do you get any money?
We
from
get
the
a
school?
small amount from the school board. They did increase the last levy. They did actually increase the amount that we get by $40,000.
If this is an unfair question, just let me know and I'll back off. But how much money the various entities give? I think I know how much money the county gives,
Yes.
around slightly over $1 million. How much does the city give?
Okay, let me get my piece of paper here, because I did have it written down. Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, here it is. Okay, so for 24-25, Berkeley County gives over a little over $1 million. State of West Virginia gives $694,000. That is lottery funds. It is population based. The city of Martinsburg gives us $165,000. Board of Ed is at $112 right now. Again, that will increase next year. So $112,000. Yeah, those are
So that's about a $2 million budget.
$2.2 million. Yep.
$2.2 million. Okay.
All right. So how do you make, I assume that's about, what is that, about a $15,000 a month payment you're going to have to start to make on this new loan that you took out?
So we are estimating we're going to be basically at about 10% of our operating budget.
About $20,000 a month?
Yeah,
$200,000
a year. Yeah, $200,000 a year.
$200,000 a year?
Yeah.
Okay, it's about $15,000 a month to $16,000
Yeah.
a month. What kind of cuts are you going to have to make to be able to afford that payment out of your budget?
Well, unfortunately, the libraries have been operating, the branch libraries have been operating part-time for many years, basically. We've temporarily opened them full-time since Martinsburg's been closed, so that more people can use our branches. But the reality is that they will continue to be part-time for the foreseeable future. We have gotten some increases over the years from because of the way our funding works. It's basically property tax based, and so we have gotten some increases. And so that money, instead of actually being able to put that into our library service and improve our services, we're going to have to unfortunately be diverting that to
Debt
the
service.
HVAC.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
basically.
Just for clarification, so we've not confused it, when we're talking about the budget, we're talking about the library in Martinsburg and also the 3 branches.
Correct, yes.
We're talking about the closure. We're talking about only the building in Martinsburg.
Yes, thank you. So the
Yeah.
$2.2
Yeah.
million operates all 4 libraries. And Martinsburg is currently the library that's closed, but we did open the branch libraries more hours in order to
Now,
accommodate that.
Musselman's library is inside the high school.
Correct.
What is the funding arrangement for that?
That is considered, it's a joint school public library, so the school maintains the space and then of course we provide staff and books and programs for that space.
All right, Chanda, you've been quiet for too long over there.
Hey.
All right. And in regards to youth services,
Yes.
so will your part of this be affected at all by this new strain on the budget?
I think the reality is that every part of the library is going to be affected, all services, everything that we offer. So by its very nature, yes, youth services will be affected.
Do you have any idea where you'll have to cut back and what youth programs you may have to stop?
It's going to be programming. We are very fortunate in the fact that we've gotten a lot of grants to help support like our summer reading program. Every year we get a grant from the Eastern West Virginia Panhandle
Community Foundation.
Thank you. So that's helped support it. So we've been able to maintain a lot of that funding. Anything that we offer on a day-to-day basis, we'll have to keep bare minimum. We won't be able to offer more like outreach events because unfortunately those do cost money. So being able to go out into the community, we'll have to scale back a little bit on. Hopefully we'll be able to keep more in-house stuff because in-house programming by its very nature doesn't cost as much as going out into the community, bringing bigger acts in, things of that nature.
Do you have fundraisers you'll be doing in addition to any other normal fundraising that you already had kind of figured in?
Yes. Well, I mean, currently we do have a GoFundMe specifically for the asbestos abatement.
And where do we find that?
So if you Google Martinsburg asbestos abatement GoFundMe, you can find it. And we've already had 50 people donate, which is very exciting. It's small donations, about $3,000 at this point, but it's very exciting that people care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you going to use this as a stepping stone to a massive funding campaign? I know other libraries, I think one in Charleston did this and got a very good community response. Will you do the same thing?
I mean, I think that we will continue to fundraise. Again, at least my experience so far in trying to raise for this particular project is that it is extremely challenging. I know also when we tried to fundraise for the Hedgesville Library, we were never able to raise the funds for the Hedgesville Library. We ended up having to borrow a fair amount. Okay. So I obviously we're going to do as much fundraising as we can, but I do feel like the challenge in West Virginia is that there just really isn't any federal, state, or local funding specifically for library buildings. And as Berkeley County continues to grow, this is such an important thing for our infrastructure. We need quality libraries, and there isn't funding for them.
Always the last to be appreciated. Right. So, are there fees that you charge along the way to those who use the library that you'll have to increase?
No, we're actually currently not charging fines just because people can't return their materials easily. So no, we're not planning to increase any fees.
Yeah, you mentioned you're going to borrow 1.6 to
Yes.
pay off this. You also mentioned Hedgesville. You borrowed money to do that. How much money do you owe at this point in time?
I don't have a number on that.
Roughly.
I'm sorry, I really don't have a number.
Okay,
I do.
okay.
I do know we've got about $38,000 a year comes out of our budget for
$38,000. Okay, yeah.
comes out of our budget
Yeah.
for specifically
Yeah.
for the facility.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where we are on that.
Is that Hedgesville or both facilities?
Hedgesville.
Hedgesville. Okay.
Now, in addition to this project, this major project at Martinsburg, asbestos abatement, you had no control over that. That was in the building before you took it over, right? The HVAC system, you clearly got your money's worth out of a 50-year HVAC system. Are there any other maintenance items that you have to take care of this year in the budget that are of an outstanding nature or amount?
Not that I am aware of. We did have a study done, a professional study done looking at the facility, and basically there's about $10 million in repairs that need to be done to that facility. It doesn't have to be done tomorrow, but basically to get it where it actually needs to be. It is a 1960s building. A lot of things are original to the building, so it's a huge expense.
So it strikes me that you're in a unique situation because you're almost entirely dependent on local governments, state government, forking over some cash. Do you have a development director that works specifically to try to raise money from the private sector?
We do not have a development director at this time, no.
I think that used to be Kelly Tanksley's
Yes,
job,
it used
right?
to be Kelly.
Has the position been eliminated, or are you just having a
Yes.
hard time filling it?
It has been eliminated. Honestly, we don't really have the funding at this point, even for staff.
To salary the
Yes,
person?
Yes.
Right. So, but if somebody wanted to volunteer to be the development director,
I would not say no. No.
We'll
I would
take everybody we can get at this point.
Yes.
Right. So you're kind of in a difficult situation because you really need a development director to get some type of public-private partnership going, but you can't afford a salaried person to do that, and you're at the mercy of local governments to give you money.
That's true.
This sounds like a tough fiscal model to sustain over time if you need that much in repairs done.
Yes, I do think that the library is in a challenging position, but I do feel like this is not uncommon in Berkeley County in terms of a lot of our entities. A lot of us are in aging infrastructure. The county is growing quickly, and there just isn't the funds to support that.
Do you foresee the need to close the facility entirely at some point?
I'm hoping we won't have to do that. I can't make any guarantees, but I'm hoping we won't have to.
Of the three branches, is there one more robust than the other two?
In terms of circulation, the Martinsburg Library does the most circulation. Of course, it has the largest collection, it's open the most hours. So, in terms of the branch libraries, they actually circulate pretty similarly in terms of the amount of circulation, and they all, of course, are located throughout the county in different areas. The community
Certainly
uses them. Yes.
Do you have a social media person or anyone who kind of dabbles in that to get the word out that, hey, we need some money here?
I mean, we have actually hired Alexis, who's redesigning our website and has just redesigned our logo, which is very exciting. So we do have that. We do Facebook. Actually, Chanda does a lot.
Yeah, I do a lot of the social media. I'm that generation, I guess. I kind of grew up with it. So we do a lot on Facebook, Instagram. We've started trying to branch out into TikTok. We had some teen volunteers that were helping with that, and they were based out of the Martinsburg branch. And of course, with that closure, it's difficult for them to get out to the branch libraries just because of the distance. But Alexis and I have been partnering on a lot of that. We've got plans for our summer programming that we're going to be doing. All kinds of social media advertising, so keep an eye out for that.
Okay. In certain areas, I'm thinking, if memory serves, somewhere in Kansas, they decided a couple of years ago the hard copies were no longer necessary, so they went to the soft copies with the computer. I'm not sure how that worked out. They got a lot of press initially, and then I haven't heard anything about it. Is there a balance now between your hard copy traditional books and the computer access?
That's an interesting question because in some ways it's more expensive to run a library nowadays because you need both. Some folks prefer the physical copies and some prefer the digital copies. Digital copies are very expensive.
Oh, is that right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Oftentimes 3 times the count of 3 times or more of the cost of a physical book.
Yeah, it's
Why?
about 3 times the cost. In each book that you copy, you only have a specific amount of usages for them. So one of the standards is for 12 months or 24 months, and of course the cost varies. And then once that license runs out, we have to repurchase it so our patrons can continue to use the material.
That's very interesting. I was not aware of that.
Yeah,
And
you would think, right?
Yeah, this was a dimension that I had never heard before. So that's that would encourage the traditional, the physical books. Yeah.
Yes, although we do have people who
Sure,
only
yeah.
read now on Kindle or
Yeah,
different
yeah.
devices.
I'm wondering if that's like an age thing. Like, I really prefer a book, but I'm 62.
And maybe it is an age thing because I prefer a Kindle because I don't have to lift as much.
Well, and audiobooks are increasingly
yeah.
common as well because populations that have trouble with seeing or that just can't lift material, they can listen to an audiobook and they still have access to the same material everyone else does.
Yeah.
So I want to go back to money. again, because I'm concerned about this, right? So does the library system have a group of benefactors that have kind of always been around and been there and supplied money when you need a little bit of money, or is that not as developed as I think?
I mean, a library does get donations, and we do actually have a budget for donations, and every year we do get donations from various folks.
Do you know roughly what you can count on a year in donations?
No.
Like $10,000, $100,000, any idea?
I know we have a budget for library-generated income, but that includes a lot of different things. But let's see what I've got for the...
Okay.
I've got 89,000.
Hey, that's almost 100,000,
Yeah.
right? That's a good start.
Yeah. Michelle Coffey asked a question that I find very intriguing. Last year, there was Brandon Steele, some of the other delegates tried to push an anti-library bill. And fortunately, it did not get out of committee. At least I don't think it got out of committee. Mm-hmm. Are you finding some of our local legislators to introduce the concept that there's the wrong type of books are being distributed?
So, I mean, I'm sorry.
I'm
what's the
looking.
question?
Are we getting
Censorship is the word.
censorship?
Okay.
Yeah. Are we getting? Do we have some of our local legislators that have contacted you, raising question or concerns about the books that have been
And
distributed?
I have 1 minute for your answer.
I have not any. Nobody's reached out to me personally.
Okay.
No.
All right. So if somebody wants to donate to the library
Yes.
to help with this, how do they do that?
So they can just go ahead and Google the Martinsburg Berkeley County Public Library asbestos GoFundMe, or if they prefer, they can donate or write a check directly to the Martinsburg Library. We are a 501c3 nonprofit.
How would I do that? Who does it get sent to?
It's the Martinsburg Berkeley County Public Library. You can stop by. You can call me in either way. And hand
Where do I
us a check.
stop by if the Martinsburg one's closed? Any library?
Any
of our branch
Yeah, any
libraries.
branches. Thank you.
Very good. Thanks to both of you for
Yeah.
coming in.
Thank you.
Let's do this again in the near
Absolutely.
future,
Thank you for having
so
us.
we can find out how we're doing paying these bills here. Okay.
This has been very informative. So thanks much
Thank
for
you.
Thank you.
coming in.
Appreciate you coming in. Thank you both.